And we're onto the hedgerow. Here we go. Now, as you can see, I just built up these, the deep turquoises a bit more, and the buildings and that, as you have to do as well. But do it at your rate, because, you know, it's not, I'm just doing it a little bit quicker because of the filming and that, but you don't have to. Now, in order to do the hedgerow, we're going to have, first of all, a base colour, which is slightly darker, okay, than the other green. So in order to get that green, okay, you see, here's my lovely messy palette. We're going to have a little bit of green here, and wow, look at this, our lovely little blue, cobalt blue, okay? Just to deepen it a little bit, okay? Can you see that? Just deepen it a little bit more. Add some more green to it, okay? A little bit more, and you'll see now it's going to stand out in front of that. And we will add highlights to it as soon as we have in the bases of the little hedgerow, okay? So we have that there. Twist your brush again, we're doing a small brush, small area. We're going to start off here in front of the building, and I'll do it again with the, if I can find the pastel pencil, just to show you, just to get an idea. Let's say we want, this is going to be our line here. Nice and uneven, can you see it? Coming up like that, slowly but surely. It's coming up a little bit more as it reaches the building like that. Up here like that, okay? And then let's see, we have our baseline. We'll cut in on this here for our baseline of the little hedgerow, which will be, you know, uneven as well. No rulers. Rulers are banned, as I told you, in this style. Okay, so we have those lines in. You could do that with your paintbrush if you want. I just had the pastel pencil handy there. And then we just start applying it, okay? Just straight on here. It'll blend in at the start with the other green, but we don't mind that, the green down here, because we just want to get in, like everything else, it's a base color. And I love doing these layers on top of layers, because you get a lovely sense of texture and structure to your painting, and also a sense of depth. You know, we're working towards the foreground. You know, we're working from the most distant object to the most upfront in the foreground object, you know, which finally will be what is the most on top of everything. The final strokes. Can anyone answer it? Everyone knows what it is. Yep. It's your signature. Okay. But you know what, you understand what I mean. We have to start in the distance. Well, that's the way I do it. Some people like to start with their signature, but no, I'm only joking. Now, as you can you see the way we're getting that nice sort of distance effect, pushing them back a bit. Don't worry about if you have a white pastel line there or whatever, that'll all work out at the end. Just getting a nice little loose line under it, okay? And we'll get that in there first, and then it gets less as it comes out here, with sort of say into the distance or whatever, you know? But it still has that effect of distancing the cypresses, okay? And we brought it down a little bit. It's sort of spanning the bottom of the house and the meadow in front of it, or the field. Okay, so we have that there first of all. Now, the next step after that is, we want to get a few lines in here. We want to sort of like counterpoint in music or harmony. These are going to go in the opposite direction to these, to add another sense of movement, you know, which Van Gogh was brilliant at. But just to show you, this green is dry here. So we're going to do it in the sense that, I'll just show you, the lines are disappearing off into this direction over here. And they sort of, the way to explain it is, they have to, if you understand this effect here, where they're getting wider as they come towards you, okay? If you turn it around and apply the same idea to this, they're going to get wider, wider towards the edge, wider, wider, wider again towards the edge. Can you see that idea? But they'll be slightly thinner up here because that's in the distance, okay? But can you see the effect there? In fact, that one there is a bit too close there because I did it upside down. You bring it down here like that. Can you see that effect? Okay, well, hopefully you can. And then what we're going to do is, I did that quickly, but if you do it slowly again, we're turning this around just to get this perspective idea. All these lines would meet somewhere up there. But in order to have it going down two different perspective points, lovely, it's fantastic. That's going off that direction, that's going that direction. It's really to just get that movement into it. Now we're going to put a little more blue into this green, because what we want to do is, we want to get a few lines in where we put the pastels there, just to show you, just to get a little more depth into it. really loose lines like this. Can you see this? I'm not, there's, you know, there could be little patches of previous, I don't know, plants that were sown here, you know, just shadows of them. You know, the way the grasses can tell a story from years before if something had been, you know, buried under it or planted, you know, like rotational crops or whatever. I'm not a very good farmer myself, but do you understand what I mean? We just want that sense of these other lines here on top of that. Okay, can you see that idea? Just in there, very, very loose, okay? And the white lines, my chalk is coming through. Don't let that worry you, because it doesn't worry me. I can wipe it out afterwards. Now we're going to let that part dry for a moment or so, and then we're going to actually go for, which I'm really excited about, our pinks, okay? Our light magenta, which I was telling you about earlier on. And we're going to, I'm still sticking with this brush because it's the smallest canvas, okay? And we're going to start applying these lovely blossoms, the lavender, okay? Now, as you can see in the distance, they're quite tiny and then they get wider. It's the same idea with everything else. In the distance, small, up close, it gets wider and bigger, and it comes up to us and says, look, here I am. I'm a big lavender blossom. Okay, so we're going to start off. Here's my lovely messy palette again. And here's the lovely light magenta slipping down into the green, but it doesn't matter, we'll get it back up. Can you see it? Twist the brush again to get a nice little point on it. And then we'd start, say, in this area here. Do you remember I was telling you that this is the one here closest to the green area? So all we're going to start is on our line, do little dots. See the way I'm supporting my hand again? Little dots, tiny little dots in the distance. You want a thin line, okay? And keep to the top side of this line, if you know what I mean, towards the greens, okay? Then as you come up, this I'm going to do it very, very quick. I'm going to try and do it quickly, but you can take your time doing it. The dots will get bigger, okay? You know, they'll get bigger and they'll start spanning both sides of the line, okay? Can you see the way they're spanning both sides? Like this, yep. Continuing on, your dots are big, you're almost leaning on your brush completely to get the full strength of it as a stroke. Coming up there, higgledy-piggledy, another one of my favorite words, all the way up there like that, going right up there, and it gets widest there. Okay, can you see that? Doesn't matter about the blue coming through, and you want that little bit going up there into the distance, just like that. Doesn't matter, they're not perfectly straight, these lines. In nature they're not. Now can you see that? So that's number one, and we get a tiny bit wider there because we can see that perspective. Then we move on to the next one. Do exactly the same thing, but with this one, just span as you get wider. Do it on both sides of this line here, because remember at the beginning of that we were sticking to one side, but we want both sides of this because we want it to even up with the others, okay? Now can you see the way it's coming in like that? This looks rather bright at the moment, but that's because this is just our base colour for the lavender. We still have to add another tone to it, so don't worry. Can you see that? I'm just rushing up here to finish off this line, but before you do that, I just want, and then you move out nice and loose, because these are lovely little blossoms, you know, they're blowing in the wind and shimmering, and you know, it's all to do with the brush work. Going to bring that out there like that. Okay, can you see that? Perfect, yeah. Bring that little one out there, a little bit more there, because as you move along, you'll see the structure of it, okay? Same, coming back here again, little dots, spanning either side of your line, whichever way you put it in, it doesn't matter. Whether you did a pastel or a paintbrush line. But can you see you're getting lovely little effects now of perspective going in this direction? Okay, and we can make our own perspective, you know, we're artists, you know, we don't have to strictly stick to reality, you know. This is the whole idea about painting. It's being creative, it's creating your own little world, you know, because you're not an illustrator. We're not illustrating here a lavender field, France, we're painting a lavender field, okay? And we're painting it the way we feel it, we want to paint it, because all of us have our own individual little style that will develop over the years, we'll have our own little way of doing things and move on to this line. Loaded up the brush. Too much there now. Do you see? That's just to show you that example there. I'll put it into the paint without looking, and do you see what I did? Too much paint on it. So I have to take it off again and actually get a nice little point on it. Oh, I love that track. That's my niece, little Emily, singing with her brother Kevin. Well, it's all of Kevin's music. I'll stay quiet. She'll come in now. That's my chair creaking. Can you hear it? It's a lovely little piece. It's a fantastic composer and performer. Unbelievable. There she is again. Okay. Now, let's see. We're nearly there. Sorry, I was just listening to that. In fact, I think the original of that, my niece did sing in it, but I'm not sure whether that is my niece singing on the actual CD. I'll have to check it after this. I'll tell you in the next shot. Because the voice sounds very similar. Now, let's see. We can get this up. The last one here, look at this. We're flying. Look, we're flying. Can you see the idea? Now, I'm doing it very, very quickly to get the effect. But you can remember the magenta roofs, and we had these lovely little furrows again, and the magenta roofs. Now, you see it coming up there, just up to the edge of that as well. We want that going out there at the edge. And then this tiny little one there, okay? Can you see that? Going out at the edge, isn't that lovely? Look, see, look, you have your perspective already. Isn't that amazing? Now, we can actually do another little bit here. And with this time we're going to use our small square brush to do it. And I already have my lovely dioxine here. Okay, the dioxine blue, purple, sorry. Getting confused with my purples and blues. It's the dioxine, which is just an amazing colour. You could almost eat it, it's so nice. Well, you don't want to do that. That's what Vince van Gogh used to do. Because there was lead in the paints then, and unfortunately he was trying something else. But anyway, what we want to do is, there's other things to do now, but we just want to get a little bit of shadow in here, into the foreground of the furrows, okay? And it's basically with a little wash of this, okay? I lifted it up onto the edge like that, and just basically nice and loose, going off into the distance like that, because this is soil here, okay? The soil in between these lovely blossoms, flowers, okay? Now, I'm just going to do this very quickly again for you. And you can take as long as you want to do it. Okay, coming all the way up there. A few little blossoms are hitting off the dioxine, but it doesn't matter because we can go back over it again at another stage. Back up here again. And the same way, you're getting the effect of the shadows in the foreground. And you'll see it when we balance it out at the back. I'll show you now with another colour. And we're going to bring this one in here as well. And the idea is, I'll explain when I have these put in, you get them right up as close as you can to the blossoms. Okay, we have that one there right up here. Right up there again. Right up there into that. Okay, nice and loose. And the idea is that we get a sort of a movement like so. It's a slight little curve. These ones are slightly, at the edges it's slightly longer, and this one is slightly longer here. And they get shorter. You get that sort of curve effect. Can you see that? It's a little curve in the shadows. You don't want to go in a straight line across, because, why is that? Because we don't like straight lines. But no, it just wouldn't look right. It's to do with the perspective as well, and it just adds another little movement to it, a little lovely little sort of harmonizing or counterpoint again to it. Okay, can you see that idea? Your little line is going round like that. See it? At the tops of it, okay? Now what we have to do is we have to dry this because we have to move on to other colours. So back in a second again. Thanks again.